Bienvenidos a un episodio más de Reventando en los Podcasts, un podcast donde invitamos a personas que se están enfrentando a un cambio organizacional o bien nos están dando herramientas para reventarlos hoy para el futuro. Pues hoy hacemos la conexión París-Monterrey. Estamos con Chloé de Ruffray and we are so excited to be here in this day. And we had at the morning the blood moon, so it's a special day too.
And your
So
birthday as well, so happy birthday.
my birthday, thank you so much. Probably you're gonna listen this after my birthday, but you, if you are listening to us, that you know that it's my birthday too, so it's also special and so special to share it with you, Chloe. And welcome to the show. So nice to have you here.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and I'm really happy to be here and to connect with you on a much deeper level, and also to have the chance to learn a bit more about the way you do foresight on the other side of the ocean, quite far right now from me in France. So yes, excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Je parle français, mais aujourd'hui, nous vamos parler anglais. Vamos a hablar
Yeah,
inglés
no,
hoy. Thank you. So let's start with the second round. So as it's our tradition of this podcast. So to know you better, which is your favorite hobby? I don't know if you have a favorite hobby or favorite hobbies, and why is your favorite hobby?
Um, so this is a difficult question because I feel that in the time, like in the age we live in right now, we don't necessarily define ourselves by our hobbies, which is a pity. So I had to think about it. But when I think about things that I really enjoy doing, I would say that reading is really part of um, my life and my identity these days. And what I found interesting is that I recently came back to like fiction book. So,
Mhm.
like in this world, we have like a plenty of opportunities to read a lot of non-fictional books about any topic. Especially, I'm working in the longevity field, so of course, this is a topic I'm passionate and I read a lot about. But last summer, I started reading, yeah, fiction books again, and it was like such a relief. And I found that it really activated or reactivated a part in my brain that was a bit like dormant and a bit like um, asleep, let's say. So every time I think about, reading in general, but reading like fiction books, it really makes me happy. It's kind of a right now it's the conversations are all about finding ways to regulate ourselves in this fast-paced world we live in, and I found reading and reading fiction a very good way to just not escape in a bad way, but like sometimes we just need like to extract ourselves from the reality in order to reconnect with ourselves and with the world and with certain feelings like hope, pleasure, joy, which is not always easy on a daily basis. So yes, reading fiction books, sorry, is one of my favorite hobbies these days, I would say.
Nice, nice, and make sense with everything that you do that we're gonna talk about now.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I love to read and to run. It makes me like feel like I am. I always read, but like a sacred place or sacred time to read and to connect with the other world out there
Yes.
or inside too, and to run. That also gives me the sensation that I am moving forward.
Yeah, true. That's
Yeah.
a beautiful metaphor. Yes.
Yeah, but it's lovely. It's lovely to hear that we love books, and I can imagine to reading a book in Paris has also like this charming thing.
There was this very interesting viral reel on Instagram
Yeah.
last week about like point of view, what Parisians do in this age of AI, and then they would take some people everywhere in the city reading books,
Well,
like at terraces, at cafes, or in the parks, or reading books to children. So I think it's yeah, it's also part of the culture here.
nice, nice. So hope that someday I do it someday soon. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I can imagine that. So so getting in the podcast, and I love your background. We talk about, well, now you say that you love to read science fiction books, and it makes me completely sense too. And you study social science at your grade or undergraduate, and then you go, with those different life experiences and academic different things. But how do you get to foresight? How this influence you yourself in foresight and cultural analysis, and I don't know if before, when you were younger, that you have like some clue of, okay, someday I want to work on this thing. I don't know what is it probably in that time, but how do you get into foresight? Like how your background helps you?
Yeah. So back then, foresight, so we're speaking about like 10 years, 12 years ago, foresight
Hmm.
was not a thing like it is today. Trend forecasting was um, a bit, it was quite known in certain industries, but it was not necessarily um, uh, seen as something valuable,
Hmm.
at least not like the way we do it today. And so for me, I wanted to be, I've always wanted to be like a journalist.
Hmm.
This is why I studied science, social sciences and politics, because I wanted to become a journalist. And then I actually discovered foresight by, it was pure coincidence. I was reading this magazine and I read this article about people working as a trend hunters back then, which was really a job. You have to imagine this was a world pre social media. So yes, people did have access to everything that was happening globally in New York, in Tokyo, in London. So it was a bit more, it was a different time. And
Yeah.
I found it fascinating. And what I loved about this job title was the combination, like the mix of creativity and analysis, because it was not enough to say, oh, yes, people are into that color or are into that type of that item, like products and items and that kind of it is not enough. You need to justify it. Like you cannot say that it's only like intuitive, right?
Hmm.
So I really loved the how creativity and analysis were coming together. And I found that there are a lot of similarities with journalism, to be honest.
Yeah.
Found it even more fascinating because it was not about what is, but what's next. And
Nice.
I think that I was always someone who, of course, you have to be curious to be this job, to do this job, but I was always also
But,
very forward
okay.
thinking.
Hmm.
And this is how I got into it. So I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And I was really ready to do everything I could to
Hmm.
enter this industry. And luckily enough, it happened quite fast. Just after I graduated, I was living in Germany, in Berlin back then. And
Well,
so I joined an agency that was working on those topics. And I stayed there 2 years and I took a leap of faith and decided to go freelance. And the more I was diving into the topic of trends and insights, the more I realized that this was not just like a job, a regular job for me, but it was really like um, something more like a bit of like a yeah a passion of me. And then the field started to evolve, and it got
mm,
more like we could say professional, or at least more standardized, so with certain practices and um, we could have access to different techniques and methodologies. So I really, started to dive into this and to have more experience, theoretical experience as well. And then I started to call myself like a, yeah, trend forecaster, foresight consultant. It really depends on who I'm talking to be honest.
Mhm.
Um, but this is how things got started 12 years ago, and then I started working with agencies around the world and with companies and organizations, always with this idea of um, showing them what's possible, what's feasible, what's
Mhm.
plausible. Um, and always with this sense of optimism, even when it's hard to be optimistic, but that the like life in the world is not black and white,
Yeah.
it's the middle. So it's healthy to have like a sense of optimism, and a sense of skepticism, but at least it's not black and white, it's gray. So it's good to have yes, a sense of what's next in a healthy manner, let's say.
Yeah. And I love because also like journalist, you're also looking for information. You're like kind
Yes, talking to
of
people.
yeah, following your input, do a report,
Yeah.
something. Yeah, it was like taking you into that place, no? And I love it that you describe like this. I'm trained researcher, but cultural analyst, and I well, probably I don't know if it's more in Europe, but we are now we try sort of in America also. It's like emerging this cultural foresight, and I don't know if you can like sort of distinguish or you can say what is making more unique in a way that cultural foresight that could be only foresight. Can you explain a little bit that twist?
Yes, it's funny because I was talking to Matthias the other day, the one
Yeah.
I'm doing the Foresight masterclasses with, and we're talking about those kind of a niche within the foresight industry or field. Um, I would say that. I mean, for the external world, maybe it doesn't make a difference, but for the people in the industry, I think it does make a difference because we all have
Mm,
like a very specific way to approach foresight. Some people will do foresight led by, um, like rigorous methodologies. They will
mm,
work with um, like corporations or like global institutions. So the way you do foresight is a bit like the expectations are a bit different, and the way you
mm,
do it must also be different because you're not playing, let's say, in the same league. So you need like a more established framework
mhm,
within certain subfield of foresight to be credible. And in cultural foresight, what I love about this subdiscipline is that you still have a room for, um, let's say, creativity and human-centric thinking and intuition. So, in my definition, cultural foresight is about values, it's about behaviors, it's
mm,
about um, subtle changes that are happening, weak signals in other field of foresight as well. But in that case, we're really focused on humans.
mm,
And I was reading this thing yesterday that I found very interesting in the age of AI that was saying that AI can elaborate a thinking based on past
mm,
but it cannot get a sense of what is happening right now
mm,
because there is no that data about that. So this shows us that the job that we do as foresight practitioner or cultural foresight practitioner is very important because going up there on the street, getting a sense of what is happening, like the shifts that are not yet documented, but are already happening, are already like what we call in German, like the Zeitgeist, it's already like in the
Mhm.
air. This is something that might not be measurable, but this is what makes organizations stand apart, in my opinion. So cultural foresight is, in my understanding, yes, a lot more maybe business oriented, lifestyle driven. It's a bit lighter, and I'm not saying this to diminish or anything,
Mhm.
but it's there is this creative aspect that I really enjoy.
Nice. And I love that part of Foresight that you say lifestyle driven. And because it connects also, and I want to if you can share with you about your longevity culture club. It resounded with me a lot. Probably here in Mexico and America in general, we have like we focus on other things, but it's something that is getting bigger. And you speak about wellness and longevity, and I love it. Something that you publish on LinkedIn. Well, we're gonna put also your links to LinkedIn so people can connect with you. But you share with this Centurion magazine. I quote something that you said that I love it because you say we discuss how longevity is shifting from a niche biohacking obsession to a mainstream cultural movement, entering homes, travel, and lifestyle, and increasingly driven by a more holistic vision of health. We also explore what longevity should be understood as a long-term societal paradigm rather than a luxury trend. I don't know if you can explain like this longevity narrative that is so interesting for me, and I think for the audience to 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 hear from you.
Yeah. So first, thank you for reading the article.
Mhm.
Um, Yeah, so the Longevity Culture Club was born last year with this simple idea that we, in France at least, we don't have a space dedicated to multidisciplinary conversations around longevity.
Mhm.
Longevity is understood as personal health related, wellness related topic, which is absolutely true. This is
Mhm.
where things start. We're gonna live longer. We know that, but that doesn't mean that we're going to live longer in a healthy uh, shape. And this is what longevity is all about, making
Mhm.
um, everything that's possible for people to live longer, healthier. And we find out that, and when I say we, it's my partner in that project, Charlotte, we find out that it's very difficult for people to come together when to go outside of their comfort zone. Like
Mhm.
entrepreneurs stay with entrepreneurs, scientists stay with scientists, etc. And we wanted to create a space where people could come together, convene, in order to have a more 360 approach of longevity.
Mhm.
Longevity, as you just quoted, is a change of paradigm. If we live longer and in a healthier shape, we it will impact the way we live, of course, but the way we work, the way we age, the way we invest, the way we save money, the way we design our cities or apartments, everything is gonna be disrupted. That's for sure. Actually, we believe it's the like the second biggest revolution and yeah revolution with AI in the century. And so we wanted to create a space for people to come together and have those cross-disciplinary conversations.
Mhm.
And so we organize dinners, we organize events in France and hopefully soon elsewhere. So maybe one day in
Mhm.
Mexico
Yeah.
for people to yeah to come together and challenge their views on longevity. It's B2B network, so we don't do B2C and we don't aim to build like a community, but for us it's more about like yeah creating a framework and a space for um I don't want to say difficult conversation, but at least conversation that really push you to your limits of thinking, of doing, because it's a very future-oriented topic as well. Well, this
Mhm.
and yeah, we're very excited about this project. It's really part um, of what we love doing, creating experiences and bringing people together. And on the topic of longevity is just like, a blessing.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, very, very future oriented, and yeah, at the end, could be something uncomfortable to talk because probably we have to be vulnerable when we talk about longevity, and we need to talk also about that we need each other, that we are have to be more solidarity
Yeah.
in a way, and. Can you explain a little bit how do you do? Do you do talks or you do like consultancy or do more like and what people said in Europe about this topic?
So yes, we do talks, we do events, we do consultancy, always with this idea of democratizing the access to the knowledge
Hmm.
on the topic. A lot of companies and organizations in Europe and in France, like I'll talk about France mainly because the situation is a bit different in other countries in Europe, but
Hmm.
um, a lot of company don't understand how much they will be exposed to this longevity paradigm. They believe that it's a, healthcare topic, wellness topic, but as I just said, it's not. It's way more than that. It's really gonna redesign the way we function as a society, right? Especially if we all live up to 100. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but the day after tomorrow, probably. Um, so it's people are, at least in France, they are at least like at the same time very excited, but also very skeptical because the way
Hmm.
it's framed in the media is not necessarily very positive. It has a lot of misconception, like longevity is for the super wealthy, longevity
Hmm.
is not.
Uh-huh.
Is another source of inequalities. Longevity is this, longevity is that. What are we gonna do if none of us dies? And yes, of course, I understand that. You just said it's a very intimate topic, and you have to be vulnerable to talk
Hmm.
about your own death and maybe your immortality if this is
Hmm.
what you want to, because there are some movements supporting this idea of
Hmm.
immortality. So it's a very vast topic and a very
Yes.
vast field, but in Europe, people are torn between they want to do what they can today because maybe they have aging parents or aging grandparents and they see
Hmm.
how life can look like when you are not in full autonomy anymore, or you
Hmm.
are dependent, or whatever that is. But also because now sciences has, made so many progress
Hmm.
that it enables us to invest more in prevention and in maintenance. So what can you do now at 20, 30, 40 years old so that when you will reach 60, 70, 75, you will be in a very good shape, or at least a better shape than your own parents or other family members or whatever, because they didn't have the chance to invest in their health. And when I say invest in their health, it can be like something very basic, right?
Hmm.
Like access to uh, drinking enough water and healthy food, etc. It doesn't need to be extravagant
Hmm.
in that sense. So yeah, that's that. And on the other hand, as I just mentioned, a lot of people are skeptical and they see this as a new way of like how can I say, like something that is very limiting. like a set of rules that will limit their ability to enjoy life, which is not the
Mm.
case. But because we have a lot of examples of people who are living in a very like monarchical and ascetic way, rejecting what modern society offers us in terms of entertainment
Yeah.
or recreative activities, they think that this is what is expected, which is not the case. This is only
Yeah.
one way of taking care of your longevity. There are many, many different ways, of course.
Nice. Nice. And yeah, I thanks to you open that conversation. I think it's as you said, that many people is interest and many perspectives around it, but it's so great that people start to to move forward in this topic and make some space for it. I think also the cities, the public sector, and as you say, even entertainment. We think about this longevity and also the people is more older because we wanna someday we wanna be that way too. So it's something so beautiful and humble to do it too, and and great. And one of the other things that I think met you or know about you with this master classes that you did with your colleague
Yeah.
with Matthias Van. Uh, I think he's Danish. He's from Denmark. Yeah, and he also a great guy, and he's also like pretty easygoing. And you did it last year, like three master classes, one from selling foresight, another one like explaining foresight. That was great, and also the third one with you apply AI to foresight, and I think all that generosity and all your making space for for talking about this. And I don't know if you can sort of explain, for example, how can we sell better foresight or how can we apply foresight and also like sort of using AI to it and how and what's your experience in general about these master classes, the interest of the people of the audience, how do you and if you're gonna do more of this at the future.
Um, so actually, yes, we're planning to do one on cultural foresight.
Nice.
So I'll keep you posted. And thank you for joining the master class. This is actually how we got connected, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, the idea of the master class was quite simple. We wanted to do something together that was a bit different. So Matthias, his background is in foresight. Obviously, he used to work at CIFS, which is the Copenhagen Institute for Future Studies, and then he founded his own company. And we wanted to come together and talk about foresight in a maybe like unexpected way based on our own experience that is rooted in, yes, foresight, but also a lot in business and also mentoring. So we kind of knew what kind of topics people wanted to us to address when
Mm.
it comes to those master classes. And the first one, selling foresight, was it was quite unexpected because we had like I think more than 300 people joining from
Mm.
all over the world, which shows that a lot of people, although they are very good at their job, don't necessarily know how to sell foresight.
Mm.
And this is like a big question, and I want to say that things are evolving so fast that even what we said last year is maybe not that cannot be applied like the way we presented last year because things are evolving so fast, especially with AI and like personal branding with
Mm.
LinkedIn and everything. But um, what I always tell people is that foresight is not an outcome; it's a mean, and most people sell foresight as an outcome.
Mm.
But if I'm a company and I care about revenues, reputation, risks, what can foresight teach me about this? What can I learn from foresight to make sure that I grow my revenue, I protect my reputation, and I mitigate my the risks and my exposure to risk. So um, if you start to if you look at foresight as a mean, then that will lead to answer the questions that your clients have, then yes, in that case, it makes sense
Mm,
to use foresight and to, for me, it's one of the best way to prepare and anticipate. And we know that in the world we live in, it's difficult to anticipate and to prepare for
mm,
the worst. But at least when you map the potential, the potentialities of things that can happen, that might happen, then at least it gives you like a sense of control,
mm,
even though again, control is, you know, like a controversial word as well. But yes, selling foresight is mostly about recognizing that it's a mean. It's about um, understanding where the client and where your lead is coming from. So what are they dealing with? What are the language that they're talking?
mm,
Um, I think that one of the traits that we have as foresight practitioners is our adaptability, and adaptability means that you should be able to adapt to your client's worldview and
mm,
understand
mm,
where they're coming from. Um, so this is another big thing that I think people don't always do. It's a small industry and it has its own, you know, jargon and way of seeing things and talking about things. But it's nice sometimes to zoom out and adapt to the reality of
mm.
things. This means speaking your client's language for sure.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, for me, it was so very, how do you say, pedagogical, so catchy too, to easy to explain. How you do it and how was a good experience. And for me, was too early, but yeah, but it was, you know, interesting topics and can wait for the cultural foresight to class. And
No,
I don't know.
it's interesting, and also, you know, like there are a lot of people entering this industry, and they
Yeah.
don't necessarily want to. They're not ready yet to invest like in a proper course or whatever. And the masterclass is an opportunity for them to have a glimpse of what foresight is and to give them like some yeah some nuggets on what to expect, what to focus on,
Mm,
um, and also unexpected maybe like thoughts like the masterclass we did about AI, which was less about how to prompt in order to do foresight, but more about how to use AI as a like in a very intentional way as a foresight practitioner. Um,
mm,
I think that this is what we want to open new streams of discussion as well. There are a lot of things that are not discussed in that field, like
yeah.
the second part, like the ethical way and intentional way of using AI. And it's important to have those conversations with our peers, I believe. And there are a lot
Yeah.
of people doing these types of master classes, and I'm glad to see that because it's important to yeah to give access to this yeah little bit of knowledge that we have.
Yeah, I do agree. And at the end, if we always say it in this way, why you share many things, and we always say it's better that people have these things in their hearts and in their minds, better that you know you don't expose yourself and don't share with it because at the end, if foresight don't resounds with people or have like a bad idea, at the end they don't use foresight, and you know this don't kind of expand around. And I think it's foresight at the end is so good to do something pretty good and add pretty much value to to many areas of our lives and professional life. So I think it's great, in that sense.
Yeah,
So,
agree.
and you know, like we have like many. many things to talk, but I don't want to go before if you talk about a little bit your little leap of faith club, and you have like this one-on-one thing, and how you explain like other phase of you that it sounds interesting to me.
Yes, so I uh it was never my intention, I think, to create the leap of faith, but then
Hmm.
it suddenly I suddenly had the idea and I thought, why not? So it was never like my goal or anything. So last year I gave free master classes on the topic of foresight and going freelance. And then I saw that a lot of people were not necessarily happy with where they are right now in their life, professionally
Mm.
speaking, but also like personally speaking. And both are intertwined, as we know. And I wanted to have a space for people to like to dare take leaps of faith, sorry, but they don't want to do this alone. Like they want to do
Mm.
this in community, even if this community is virtual. But this idea of sometimes the only reason why we don't take leaps of faith is because we don't think it's uh, possible, or we think it's a doom idea, or we are afraid. And sometimes you need to be in a space of people who do things, whether it is, launching a newsletter, quitting your job to launch your own foresight studio or brand strategy studio, whatever, or move countries or whatever that is. And of course, you have more and more things online and communities that address this question. And
Mhm.
the thing that is very specific about the leap of faith is that it's mostly for knowledge workers, so people who are a lot in their heads, who don't necessarily leave room for the unexpected, the serendipity. And it's quite beautiful to see people like sharing their experiences, saying, "Okay, so I took a leap of faith and I did that, and nothing bad happened, so I'm going to do it
Mm.
again." It's beautiful, and it was always my intention, at least in everything that I do, whether it is in longevity or foresight, as I said in the beginning, to show people what's possible.
Mm.
It doesn't mean that it will happen that way, but at least opening like the space for new possibilities. And sometimes things are slower than we want, and that's okay. But
Mhm.
at least knowing that somewhere at some point it will be possible is something that makes you, get out of your bed in the morning, I think.
Yeah.
And seeing that other people do it is also a source of motivation. So this was the idea behind the leap of faith. But again, it was never like I run it like in a very intuitive way. So we do meetups. Sometimes we don't do anything for like months. So it's really like it goes with the flow. But it's very nice to have these people. I think we're like 150 in the WhatsApp group.
Mm.
Uh, of course, not everyone is active, thank God. But yes, I do enjoy it.
Wow. So yeah, it's great to know this phase of you and this other entrepreneur thing. And I'm glad that you used
Yeah.
your yeah.
Like you, what you do at the university and teaching and the thing that you do for your clients. I think that when we are passionate, and I guess this is
Yeah.
also because we want to be everywhere, and everywhere we can plant seeds and give a sense of what change looks like is uh is rewarding in some ways, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think this last uh, um, reflection is a great checkout. So thank you for being here. Thank you for share all your knowledge and wisdom, and
No,
hope
thank you so
to see you
much.
soon.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you for having this podcast that I'm sure is very helpful for a lot of people in the Spanish speaking world. But now that
Yeah.
you have guests, English speaking guests everywhere. So thank you for the opportunity to be one of them.
Thank you. So, Reventando los Podcasts es dirigido por un servidor Luis Salas y producido por Polymath, una red de consultores que co-creamos organizaciones ambidiestras. Pues bueno, ve a reinventar algo, que estés muy bien. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Chao.
Thank you.